See if they brought that coffee. They never got that coffee.
Can we get a, oh my God, that's hot. Can we get a coffee over here? Cool. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Canon Creative Studio here at the Sundance Film Festival. Everybody come in, take a seat. We won't bite too hard. There's 3 more in the front for anybody who wants them. They're going once. I'm going to sell them for $20 in 5 minutes. Nope. Okay, hello and welcome. My name is Jerry Holden. I am a independent director and producer. I am the contributing technical editor for American Cinematographer magazine, and it is my honor to host today's panel with the legendary Coodie and Chike. How are you guys? Thanks for coming.
Great, thank you.
Uh-oh. We'll get
Testing 1,
There
2.
you go.
Thank you so much, Jerry. Yeah. How y'all doing? What's happening, everybody? Peace and blessings, y'all. We're at Sundance, you know what I mean? We were supposed to be here last year, but they canceled it, so they did it remote. But we had a film Genius. If y'all know, the film Genius was premiering last year, this time, and thanks to Canon, we're here this year. So thank y'all. Thanks, Canon.
So you guys are directors, producers, cinematographers, writers, visual effects artists. I mean, you just do everything, which is near and dear to my heart. So I love you for that. And you've just started really kind of getting into executive producing as well. You are well known for music videos, Erykah Badu. I probably pronounced that wrong just because I'm an idiot.
You got it, Erykah Badu.
Badu.
You got it.
Christina Aguilera. I'm forgetting all the rest. Kanye West, of course.
Mos Def, Gil Scott-Heron. Who else? Chike, Joey Badass, Currency.
Style. We've done a lot of music videos. That was
Pitbull. We did Pitbull's first video, by the way.
Yeah, we can give a woo for that. You guys are kind of legendary in that. And you were both working for MTV at the time. When you met, you had.
Well, you was working in a different. We were both doing. I was working there as a junior designer in packaging, and Coodie was actually producing. You heard it first on Kanye with them. But it's funny because it was all part of the footage that ultimately became the documentary. It was just at that phase, and they were just helping Kanye to break, and so he was basically consulting with them because he knew the footage better than anybody. And then a producer, Yasmin, there just thought we needed to meet, and she brought him down, and we've been rocking out since. Yeah.
And that's the documentary that premiered Netflix last February,
Yes.
Genius, which is a 3-act story. And the first act of it premiered, and it was here because of the canceled festival, but it premiered at Sundance last year as well, right?
Correct.
Yeah, it was. It premiered, and then we did a 1-day theatrical run with the movie that did well, and then when it launched on Netflix, I think we were the first film that they spaced it. You know how they usually put it on that you can binge watch the whole season or whatever. This one they had put on every week, so they gave you a second to digest the film, and then they threw the other one up the next week, and so it was good. I like how they did it. Yeah.
So you guys, I'd love to talk a bit about your process and your creative process. We talked a lot about sort of being driven by spiritual guidance, making the choices for you. I'd like to get a little bit into that kind of concept of how you pick projects and how you decide what paths to follow.
Well, we always say, they say let go and let God, and every single project that we did, we just see the magic that God, that He just create for us. It's like I think because we say that too, because we give Him the glory, He make it even greater. We always say Jesus direct, and because we say that, He like, oh, you gonna put my name on that? Bet I'm gonna make it look like this. And I'm like, perfect, and He do it all the time, man. So, and that's just me coming up as a kid. My mother, I'm the the only son of 3 girls. And my mother used to always say, you know, Jesus the Son of God. And I'm like, yeah. And then, so I would pray at night to God, but I would kick it with Jesus because he the son, I'm the only son. So I'm looking at him like that. And in the hood of Chicago, you know, the things that could have happened to me that didn't happen, I credit Jesus. And then even meeting Kanye, who had a song, Jesus Walks, I'm like, oh yeah, Jesus my boy. You know what I mean? And since then, he's just been blessing me, and you know, we all agree, Chike and my family and just everybody, you know, it's just you have to give the glory to the Creator, you know, and I believe Jesus lives in us. So
I mean, as far as like, yeah, as far as that, you know, being a part of our process for us, it gives us a certain freedom, because when we go out, we're not so locked in to whatever treatment we wrote or whatever outline we wrote. We call it like leaving room for the magic to happen. And it happens every time. Like, we never start off the way that we finish, and we always finish bigger than we could even imagine. We always say, never let your imagination get in the way of God's manifestation. And so we really truly believe we're being, you know, sort of puppeteered or controlled by a higher power. We're just like a vessel. And sometimes it's hard to explain it. You just know when you're creating things that you couldn't even fathom. Like right now, we're doing a music video, and Coodie's really good at. I'm one that like needs way more structure around and needs to really see things, and he has an amazing ability to like. He doesn't necessarily need to see the finished product, because he believes it's all gonna come together even better than he could ever see it, and so he just dives into it, and it always, you know, it comes together. So.
How does the teamwork work between you two? Having multiple directors is always something that's terrified me. How does your partnership work, and how do you make that successful?
I think it's amazing because we challenge each other, you know, and we don't really have egos, so we're able to like take criticism well, and we're able to push each other. So our projects together are way stronger than they'd be individually because of that. And we have different skill sets. And we respect each other's skill sets. And so, you know, I trust when he has a decision to make, especially in the edit room. He's amazing with story. And he'll look at something and he'll make a small decision that's such a major decision. Like one time we did this documentary on Stephon Marbury. And we literally had to deliver a final cut to the executive producer, Nina Bon Jovi. And the day before, Coodie's like, you know, we had Stephon from the beginning. We started him off in Act 1, and Coodie's like, nah, let's rip all the interviews of him and let's not introduce him until Act 3. That's a major decision, like, you know what I'm saying? And we're all like, you know, the editor's like, what? But, you know, he's done this before in other ways. He's proven himself to always be right in the scenario, and so you just go with it. And again, it changed the dynamic of the entire film. Like, it made it that much better, significantly, so. And
then Chike's, you know, he went to art school. So he's real good with the look, and he pay attention to details. And with me, I was a stand-up comedian, so I'm good with like timing and, you know, beats. So, you know, I think that's a combination, you know what I mean, and storytelling. So, and we good at, you know, I understand, you know, art as well, you know, definitely through learning from Chike, and vice versa with Chike. So. That's our combo.
We make each other better, and I feel like that's what you need in a partnership for sure. You know, so.
Yeah, sure, and obviously complementing each other. You know, not working at the same focus.
Yeah. He's really like Coodie's more of I feel like the social person. So it's great we're on set because I'll live with more so the DP, and he'll live with talent, and so we can be two places at one time. We get a lot accomplished that way. Our sets run super smooth because we're, like you said, we're in two different places, and so we're accomplishing a lot, but it also brings the tension down. And it goes back to even on set as far as like creating room for like things to happen. We don't get caught up if something like is not working right or this. You just call it audible and you just go with it. So we're always being open to, if something's not working, changing on the spot and not getting hung up or getting emotional about it, you know what I mean? And I feel like that comes forward on having a really great set and a great atmosphere and a great, you know, the mentality of everybody on the set is always uplifting, so.
Yeah, I think the key is though every single shoot that we do, we get everybody together and we pray before we start. So everybody like, oh, the gaffers come, y'all, okay, everybody come. They like, oh wait, we gotta build. No, everybody here, and we pray, and then after we pray, the magic happen, and every time it's like, and then at the end of our sets, everybody happy and clapping, and it's just like it's just fun. So
Something to that, right? That goes back to, I started in the theater, and every night before a show, we do a circle. The whole crew, the whole cast, everybody gets together and you bond that way. There's something real to that, for
Just
sure.
giving everybody on set proper respect, like everybody's there is good at what they do, and just being open to everybody bringing what they bring. You know what I mean? And like there's times when PAs have had suggestions, and oh, that's just hearing everybody and giving everybody an opportunity to have a voice.
So we hadn't talked about the stand-up comedian thing. That's fascinating to me, because that really is a whole different world of rolling with the punches, right? Of you've got your material, you've worked out your material, you've spent the time to get the minutes, and then you've got to sit in front of these people and be brutalized. How does that roll into directing and running sets?
I mean, it's definitely, you have to be brave. You know what I mean? It's a lot of courage, and definitely doing comedy, stepping in front of, I've done crowds of thousands of people before, you know what I mean? And did BET's Comic View, so it's definitely that, and it's only you. It's only you on the stage, and you have to make all these people laugh, so you have to, at the right time, say something to make you laugh, and do this, and it's been working when I was doing it, but I just fell out of love with comedy and fell in love with filmmaking because it's the same, you know what I mean? Like, I think in our projects what we do is we want to draw laughter, we want to draw emotion, like, we want to bring you to tears if we have to, which it seems like all of our projects do that, like from Benji, to 30 for 30, to Stephon Marbury, to Genius. It's just a ride, like it's real life. You know what I mean? In real life, you scared at a moment, and then you happy, in another moment. But that's what we bring into our films. So,
Finding the humanity, finding the heart, right? Yeah. Now, since we're sitting at Canon, we talked a little bit about sort of the evolution of you guys, hardware-wise, right? That Canon actually played a role in the evolution of your career. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, it all started when the Source magazine, because we had Channel Zero, the public access show in Chicago.
That was your
Channel
company.
19, yeah, me and my guy Danny. But I was really the host. And he had a VHS, a super VHS camera that we used. And the Source magazine fell in love with that, with what we were doing. So they gave us this camera, which was a Canon XL1. And when they did, the camera looked cool, so we like, we look better than that big old, VHS, so we look cool. And then with amazing part, and I like I say, our God work and everything happened for a reason. When I had that camera, I heard that Michael Jordan was coming back to the NBA after he left the Bulls, the second time, when he went to the Wizards, from his nephew, and I'm like, oh, damn, I'm gonna do a documentary, because I just fell in love with Hoop Dreams so much, and I'm like, I want to document Michael Jordan and what what it's gonna take for him to come back. And his nephew was like, bet. So I went to Miami, and I filmed like Magic Johnson and a bunch of people, whoever I got in front of, talking about him coming back to the NBA. And when I got to Chicago, I'm driving, and next thing I know, my door opens up, and I look to the side, and there's a dude with a ski mask on and a 9mm to my head, and I'm thinking it's my boy. He's gonna be like, I'm playing with you. No, he was like, man, give me that money, I'm gonna kill you. And I was like, what money? So I gave him like $25, like here, but he threw that on the floor, snatched my chain, threw it on the floor. He was like, give me that money, I'm gonna kill you. I said, look, I don't know what money you talking about, but you just take the car, and whatever you find is yours, and he was like, get out, and I got out, and because of that carjacking, he took the camera. I wound up getting another Canon, the GL1 from my boy, but he took that camera, but if it wasn't for that carjacking, I wouldn't have had the money to go to New York to start filming Kanye. So it was a blessing in disguise. So I look at the carjacker as an angel, definitely since he didn't kill me. And from that point, you know, to now, we here, you know what I mean? So that's everything that happened. And then from that point, I remember our friend Woods had a camera, and you could change the lenses. And I'm like,
it was the first time we saw a DSLR. I was like,
it was the best ever. And I manifested that because you always was filming. I'm like, what if you could, you know, I was thinking that, and then all of a sudden that camera happened, and I'm like, whoa. Then I said, if I get one of those cameras, I'm gonna shoot everything. And we met with Dame Dash, and Dame got us a camera, and I'm talking about we shot so much that Canon gave us four other cameras.
Actually, Billy, right there, he had a friend that was working at Canon.
Yeah.
So he put us in contact with his friend, and then who put us in contact with the person that was working there, and they fitted out our whole network with cameras.
Creative
and then
control.
We had interns, and it was on and popping because it just gave us a lot of freedom that we didn't have before to just get up and shoot, you know. And a lot of times until before the DSLRs, I feel like that there was a barrier of entry because you just couldn't. It seemed like it was a hobby that was too expensive to kind of jump into. So those cameras gave us a lot of freedom, gave the interns that was other filmmakers around us a lot of freedom to just go and get their ideas off, you know. So
thank y'all, Canon, for the for all those cameras. And we just shot in Ghana with the new one y'all gave me. Thank y'all for that too. It's gonna come out nice.
So I always like to make these panels, you know, something practical, so that people can kind of take something and run away with it. But I'm not sure if the practical is give Jesus front end credit, get carjacked, or become friends with Billy.
Don't get carjacked, but understand anything that happened bad to you is a silver lining somewhere in there. Just look for it. But go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just kidding. I think the real tip is become friends with Billy. Or
Billy Burke.
Canon, for that matter.
I mean, I think a practical thing for us that's been a through line in our creative process is we just don't wait. We're not waiting for opportunities to come to us. And once you have an idea, we're just trying to figure out how to get it from here and make it tangible. And we're not, even if it's with a crayon and a piece of paper, like you just have to get it out, and you gotta it's like you gotta feed energy into the world with what you're trying to accomplish. And once you just put your head down and start, everything just starts going from there. But a lot of times people have trouble taking that first step because it's like they'll put obstacles in their way of like, oh, I want to make it look like this, and because to look like this, I'm gonna need to shoot on this type of camera. It's like, nah, just always create around what you have access to right in front of you, no matter how, even if it is just a pencil, do a storyboard. Like that's an idea right there, and that'll help get you to the next level, and that'll help you get to the next level. So we're always just leveling up with what we have right in front of our hand to be able to accomplish, our goals with. So,
we talked about that, that your career, you focused on the resources that you had to make what you could. And that's great advice right there. You're always reaching for more, but you use what you have and work with that, right?
That's why I had to wear so many hats. Like we couldn't afford to hire an editor, so we had to learn how to edit. Thankfully Coodie was shooting a lot, so he was rocking the cinematography. But then we couldn't afford to pay a screenwriter $150,000 to write a screenplay, so we learned how to write screenplays. And it's not that we're trying to be the best at those things. You're just trying to move the needle forward and to the point to where you can hire that screenwriter or you can hire that editor, and we've kind of gotten to that point now. But it makes it so much easier too because you're knowledgeable in that space to have a dialogue with people that are just focusing on that, and then they respect you more for that as well. So you have a certain respect for all the crafts, along the way.
For sure, I have deep respect in that you understand everybody else's job because you've done that. You've had to do it. And now you guys have the chance to give others opportunity. And I think that's pretty extraordinary too. With Creative Control, you've formed a company and you're executive producing other projects and you're funding other projects. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think it's just, we really took an unorthodox approach to getting into filmmaking. Neither of us went to film school. And so it was kind of learned from the school of hard knocks. And I feel like it's a responsibility of ours to kind of pay it back to other people that are talented, that are actually growing up too in areas that they don't have that much access the education, traditional education. So the more we can fast track those people that come from environments like we can and put them in position to become filmmakers, you know, it's just gratifying in and of itself, you know, and we've been able to do that with Edward Buckles and his film Katrina Babies that just premiered on HBO, and you know our resources become their resources, and the goal is that, you know, if we can do that for 20 directors, and then 20 directors can individually do that for 20 other directors, like we've literally raised the army and built an economy around what we love to do and what we're passionate about. So,
but you gotta want it though. You know what I mean? You have to want it. It's like basketball. When you're playing basketball, the person that practiced the most and do the most would be the one to succeed. And I go with filmmaking or whatever, and the way E. Buckle, you know, came to Chike more so, because, you know, they from New Orleans. He was relentless to, like, yo, help me with what I need to do. You know what I mean?
It's definitely a vet.
It's definitely
a vet. It's not like everybody, it's like not certain people that are really just, they're driven in the same way we were, and you recognize that because they're relentless in their pursuit of you, and they're relentless in the way that they listen. And when you see that, you can't help but to continue to help and aid. You know what I mean? Especially when they're seeing results. And so it's been working for us, and we just want to continue it.
I was going to say that one thing, Bernie Mac, you know, Bernie Mac was my mentor, first person to bring me on stage, but he would always say, he said, it takes 10 years before you start seeing anything. You know, I'm like, 10 years? I just got to stand and know tonight, and you talk about 10 years? What you mean? But he was absolutely right. It takes 10 years when you start something, and you have to work on it, keep working and working no matter what happens. Like, you're going to see some success throughout that, but it do take 10 years. And for Bernie, it took 30 pretty much, and people that he mentored like Deion Cole, it took him 25 years before people knew who he was. It was just like, and same with us with filmmaking. We started in 2004 with Through the Wire, and just recently with Genius, even though we did Benji and all these others, just Genius was the one, you know, that, okay, people were like, okay, I see their talent, and we, you know, that this just the beginning. Genius is, we have a lot more that we doing, and like he said, we mentoring and helping others, which we've been doing since Creative Control with the cameras. When we was giving them Canon cameras, you know, we've been mentoring in, and it's not gonna stop.
Do you think some of that later discovery of you two and your talent is because there isn't as much focus in music videos put on the filmmakers? There's a lot of focus on the artists, but there's not enough on the filmmakers themselves. Do you think that played a role in sort of delaying people discovering?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Definitely. That definitely was a source of frustration at the time too, because it was like the labels that you were doing these videos, they didn't really so much care about. They didn't even care about the artistry a lot of times. You know, there was a lot of videos that we didn't do because of the type of videos that they want us to create. It just wasn't like, you know, it wasn't where our moral compass was, so to speak. So, yeah, in saying that, I feel like I lost my train of thought.
I know we actually started Creative Control, our company, because of that. You know, it's like, you know, when we did do Through the Wire, you know, a bunch of artists came to us like, yo, we want to do a video with y'all, because our name was kind of hot because of that. But then they wanted us to do the pool with the girls and all that. We like, no.
Because they're just trying to sell records. Like, at the end of the day, the bottom line is they're trying to sell records. What's so amazing about documentaries is like actually a community of filmmakers, and there's such a respect. I mean, I think even more so than features. Like, the documentary community is amazing for the type of passion. A lot of times people aren't making any money doing docs. Like, it's all passion, and it takes years of your time. So that space, I feel like, is what really, once we got into that space, it really like kept a fire. In the music world, it was kind of killing that spirit, because you was putting so much love into something, you felt like you wasn't getting that same love back. But in docs, it's really reciprocal, you know. So
yeah, we wasn't getting none of the videos we wrote treatments for. They was like, what? Y'all want to do what with what? Like, if we were the, like, luckily with Erykah Badu, she came to us about doing a video. You know, we couldn't have came up with a treatment. I don't know if y'all seen Window Seat. Anybody see Window Seat? It's the video when she got butt naked in Dallas. You know, we couldn't come up with that treatment. She had to tell us that's what she wanted to do. We're like, bet, let's do it, and we did it. But yeah, that's it, because we like I was saying, we started Creative Control because, you know, it's like you have to you have to just show and do. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you can just tell them, like, yo, this the vision, and they like, oh, we see it. They never see it. So we like, we gotta actually produce it ourselves and do it. We did a Honda commercial, and it was for our culture. And when we finished the development and idea of it, they just took it and ran with it and did whatever they wanted, and the kid messed it up. We ain't even want to put it on our reel, and we was like, no, we gotta have creative control. And God gave us creative control. He was like, here. We like, creative control is open? What? We got it, and here we here now. But
and
that's
we
what it was.
built a platform called CreativeControl.tv, a network which we're bringing back because it was so important for us. Because like I said earlier, how like you just need to create and you just need to not wait. But then once you create that thing, you need to get it out. And like a lot of times the networks or like the distribution companies, they decide what's going to be on that platform a lot, and they're giving a lot more no's and red lights than they are green lights. So for us, it was like, how can we put ourselves in position so whatever we make, we can put out instantly and not have to be waiting for like a distribution platform. So that's an overarching goal of ours, is to bring that back out, blow it up. So not only do we have a place to put our work out, we also can put out all the other people that we're mentoring, a spot for them to put their work out as well, without just having to like. You can have great ideas and you can shoot a pilot and it can die and it can never come out. And it just collects dust and nobody ever sees it. So.
Yeah. You talked a little bit about putting in the years, and we talked about this Ernie Barnes documentary you've been working on for almost 20 years. Do you want to speak on that a little bit before?
Oh, for sure. Anybody y'all know Ernie Barnes? Anybody? So Ernie Barnes, and that's why this is going to be such a great documentary, because a lot of people don't know Ernie Barnes, but
they will.
They will, exactly. Y'all remember the show Good Times? So Good Times, and Marvin Gaye, you know, I'm older, but Marvin Gaye album cover, I Want You, and so he's a painter. And we actually talked Kanye into getting a painting from him, because we like, yo, you know, he did Marvin Gaye album cover for College Dropout, you should get him to do yours. So next thing I know, me, Kanye, and his mom, Donda, because his nephew Marcus set up a meeting with us, and we went in, and Mr. Barnes just like fell in love with us, and just like he would come through the studio with sketches. So we like documented his whole process from sketches to him and Kanye going over the idea to like to the painting. He'd be like, Coodie, come by, I'm painting. Oh, bet. I'm go by and film him painting, and he listened to Anita Baker talking about the game. You see the game last night, making a masterpiece. I'm like, this how you do this? And just recently, which this will be a part of the documentary too, is that his painting, Sugar Shack, that was on Good Times, the beginning of Good Times, the Christie's Gallery estimated that painting, put it up for auction, estimated to go for $150,000 to $200,000. And how much y'all think the painting went for? And whoever know, don't say it. Y'all, huh? 3? 2 mil? No. Huh? No, not that much. Yeah, 15 million it went for. You know what I mean? So that just show out, you know, sometimes our art is underestimated, because it was like, and not saying that Van Gogh, because it was a Van Gogh in there, it was a Andy Warhol in there, but those was going for like starting at 15 million. You know what I mean? Like, but it went for 15, and which was great for right now, because like you talk about spiritual. Ernie Barnes' spirit has been with us since he made his transition in 2009, and we've been documenting his estate, keeping his legacy alive. So that's the next doc that we're doing, and y'all, it's gonna be so powerful, man, because it's so much. He actually gave us a painting from heaven, you know. It's yeah, and y'all hear all of these stories when we put out the doc. So look forward, Ernie Barnes documentary.
I want to open it up, see if anybody here has any questions for these two. Don't be shy. Or not.
Where do you like to shoot most? Where? Yeah, what's your location?
I mean, we'll hope, God willing, we'll be shooting in Chicago, our first feature film, Southside, which is about Ben Wilson, the basketball player that was shot and killed in 1984 that we did the doc on ESPN 30 for 30. So you know, that's definitely a place that that we looking forward to shooting, you know, because I know it, and then definitely in New Orleans for Chike, he want to do a lot, you know, because these the cities that we grew up in and we know them so well, and I feel like Chicago still haven't, you know, nobody actually captured Chicago besides, to me, Cooley High is a movie, Cooley High back in the day, that really captured my hood in Chicago. So that's what we're looking forward to doing as well.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're really driven by telling stories around, like niche stories around that areas that we came up from or stories that we saw around, really in efforts to just create empathy, to create a cultural dialogue. You know, the more you know about somebody, the more you care about them, you know, and I feel like that brings more peace. And so that's really our whole goal in filmmaking, is to just create more understanding around things that culturally we might not all be aware. Like Ernie Barnes, like that's something that you don't necessarily know about. Once you start to hear a story and hear the story of just black art and history of black art in general, there's just more empathy around an artist trying to make it in the world and navigating where he came from. You know what I mean? And so I feel like, I remember one time I went to this private school. So I was the only black kid in my class, and I used to put grease in my hair and I'd brush it, and the kids would be like, "What? Why do you have," like, you know, they would rib on me, they would joke until I explained to them what I was doing. And then once I did it and they understood it, it was all cool, it was all peace. So I feel like we try to create, I think that's what's lacking in this world, is there's a huge void of a cultural understanding between cultures and people that we need to we need to put a Band-Aid on that so we all look at each other as brothers and sisters.
And then that's what Ernie Barnes, so we all look at his paintings, he all of his subjects in his paintings, he got their eyes closed, because he said we blinded to each other's humanity. So when you will look at his paintings, you will see the one he did for Kanye, the angel has his eyes open, but everybody else eyes closed in the paint. It's a masterpiece when y'all see it. Google Kanye West, Ernie Barnes painting is a powerful piece. But so to Chike point.
And Ernie actually started his career as an NFL player.
Yeah, he was a professional football player. He used to get fined $100 for sketching in the locker room, and then the owner, and I should know the name off the top, but the
Sorry,
owner,
we'll watch the doc. We'll get it.
Yeah,
We'll watch the doc.
Yeah,
and
watch
get
the doc and see. But they gave him a football contract. They gave him a 4-year football contract just to paint. So he painted for the owner of the team, but he had a football contract right after he retired. Then he was the first black painter for the Olympics in '84. He did the Magic Johnson. He did paints for everybody from Sylvester Stallone to Elizabeth Montgomery. Y'all know what that is?
Kennedy's.
Bewitched? No. Y'all, I'm older. I'm sorry. Y'all.
I'm with you on Elizabeth.
I'm older, but you know.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But so he did a whole lot, and when y'all see his story, y'all gonna be so amazed. And like I say, his spirit. Real quick story. When we first got with him, and his nephew came to the hotel with me and Kanye, all of us there. He gave us 2 autobiographies. He gave one to me and one to Kanye, and we looking through the autobiography. It was signed too, so we looking through it, and J.I.B. was like, "Yo, he was a professional football player." We like, "Oh, dang, we didn't know." Nobody knew, right? So we like, "Oh, that's crazy." At the same time, Kanye manager, G. Robeson, walks in the room with an Ernie Barnes throwback jersey on. We was like, "That's his jersey." And then G was like, "I was wondering who jersey this was." And y'all know I got all that on film. You know what I'm saying? So I can prove it, you know. But
Nobody's
that's
gonna
the
believe
magic.
that.
Yeah, that's the magic. And I will go into the story how he gave us this pain from heaven, but you know, it's a powerful. It's powerful how it happened, because do we have time for this story?
Well, I don't know. We should save a little bit for the doc. You know,
right. You know,
wouldn't want to sell some
We'll
tickets
save
when
it.
this thing comes out, right?
We'll save it. Yeah, y'all look forward to that when the doc come out for sure.
I got a question in the back there.
One of my mentors used to talk about being an artist, 50% is making sure you don't self-destruct. And the other 50 is everything else. So for you, with this ascension that you have, the trajectory that you're on, when you all speak, there's so much humility and the desperation of excellence project that you pick, what keeps you grounded, and what do you do when you feel like you're just floating away and you kind of lose center?
I'm not going to do well because that was very poetic in the way you asked that question. But for the recording is basically how do you keep yourselves grounded, right? Is that the gist of that? You did that so well, though, and I am not going to be able to repeat that.
I say is, you know, is Christ, putting God first, you know, and understanding where it came from and saying, oh, thank you, God, for this, because you did this. You know, I'm just a tool and a vessel. So I would say that's it, because, you know, once you start thinking it's you, like it's been times, though, I ain't gonna lie, like I'm flying first class or something, you know, and I'm in a line and, you know, somebody might get in the, you know, I'm like, well, I'm first class, you know. But God always checked me every single time I ever think something like, you know, that I'm better than anybody. He checked me so ugly. So he'll never let me go that direction, and that's what that's, you know. So I say
Christ. Like family, like too.
Yeah.
And the people that you keep around you to hold you accountable. You know what I mean? You know, family, because they just don't care. Like my mother's like, you're taking out the trash. Like, so I go home for that all the time. I spend a lot of time with my mother, and I think too, you know, also giving back and that part also grounds you. You know, working with people that were in a position that you were just in. It reminds you of where you were. You know what I mean? And but it is very important. And at the end of the day, like I think the most important thing is family and friends anyway. Like all this stuff really doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So it's just all it really means anything is being happy and keeping other people happy around you, you know, so.
Now, you guys worked hard for what you have. You scraped
100%.
and you've earned it. There was not anything given to you. So that informs the way that you work with other people, which I think is fantastic.
And we spent a lot of time with nothing, and we were still happy then. So it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Let me take, yes, Matt.
Hey, so you were talking about how like some of the surprise stuff you can get when you're shooting documentary footage that just makes you just go, wow, I can't believe that just happened. So I've been shooting documentary for a while, and actually I haven't shot in a couple years because of COVID. But at what point do you really feel like you need to start putting the story on paper? I mean, you know you're shooting it, it's a documentary because you're documenting, but at what point do you really feel like you really sit down and start organizing those thoughts, especially since you guys are doing the editing yourself?
Well, we'll probably have two different answers for how we move on this.
And we don't do the edits on our documentaries. We hire editors.
Okay.
Yeah, so just so you know, but.
For me, I think ASAP. I feel like as far as, that doesn't mean you're going to stick to it, but I feel like you need to we outline all our projects. We have to, because we have to put the decks together, even just to try to get funding for it. But you outline it. That doesn't mean that you have to exactly follow the outline. There's no doc that we've done that follows the outline. It always changes, and it always something even better comes in and actually makes it. You know, but you need to do that ASAP. And then I think also, what I like with editors a lot is putting everything on index cards and like beating out all your acts and all your scenes, because you can always move it around and it gives you ability to see. But like I said, I'm just a person that has to see. He has a gift of not needing to see. You know what I'm saying? So he doesn't really have to do that. Like he can just take the camera, go out, and I think a lot of it comes from just him with comedy too, of just really keeping all that timing and beats in his head. So it's a gift, you know what I mean? But not everybody has that. So
I never wrote a joke down. I just think of the joke and then do it. And when it comes to film, the same way. I just see the vision, and I'll be like, Chike, it's the vision, and then we get together and we make it happen, and vice versa when he has the vision. So it's just doing. And then too, the key thing is when you do find the person that you believe should edit your piece, you know, let them do their genius. You know what I'm saying? Don't let them do it for, you know, until you're gonna see certain things. You're gonna be like, okay, no, let's do it, that, you know, but. Let them do that first, so you can see, you know, because you picked them for a reason. And that's what we do with all our editors, with Jason Harper and Max Allman, who worked on both Kid from Coney Island and Genius. You know, we let them get loose, and not for nothing, our assistant editor, his name was Byron, he was so, you know, everybody was just passionate and just was like, oh, and when you do that and you give them that freedom, you're going to get the best. You know what I mean? That's with the DP, with whoever you working with. You give them that freedom, and they're gonna show out until, you know, when you see something that you might want to change, then, you know, you change it, of course, because you are the director, you know what I mean? But you let them get that freedom and do their genius. We say everybody is a genius. Everybody has a genius in them. If it's your passion, when you follow your passion, your purpose, that's your genius, and follow it and move on it and know that, and you will know it because you will love it. You know what I'm saying? When I was filming Kanye and when we doing our videos or whatever we doing, we loving it to the point where they was interviewing us, and Chike like, man, I miss being on the other side of the cameras and doing it. I'm like, I don't miss it like that, but nah. But no, just, you know, you know, so.
Yeah.
You know, I really appreciate everything that y'all bring to the culture, man. And always innovating every time that y'all do something. Like it makes everybody like kind of move to another, like whatever new thing that y'all approach. When it comes to doing documentaries and now moving into the unscripted space, what's the process like? Like, do you guys go at it in a different way? How, like, when it comes to storytelling, you guys spoke about so much about, you know, documentary and letting it flow. When it comes to scripted, how do you approach that, and what do y'all recommend the best approach to that to be?
Well,
Yeah,
thank God for Nina Bon Jovi.
Right. Nina, yeah.
That's a good friend of ours. Nina, she told us to read this book, Story by Robert McKee, and that helped a whole lot.
Yeah.
You know, to being able to know how to tell the stories and what beats you got to hit and how to do it. So that helped us, which we've been studying that for screenplays, but it actually worked for docs or whatever story you want to tell you the truth. So.
Yeah, I mean, the process for scripted narratives is definitely the education on the story and understanding story from just like a psychological point of view, from a technical point of view, from a format point of view, and that's going to inform what you create. It's a little bit different than docs because unless you're doing like a biopic, because the information is just there when you're shooting. But you know, if you're playing in genre, then a lot of that's like, and that's what you know, we love it all. You know, personally, the genre stuff is my favorite because of music videos. Like, we got into music videos mainly because I was super passionate about doing music videos. He's always been super passionate about doing feature films. And really this whole journey has been to get to feature films. That docs was just a way for us to get to feature films to show and prove that we could tell long-form story. So that's been our journey. It's been a long journey to get to scripted, but that's been our journey. But, you know, the beautiful thing about definitely when you're doing fictional stuff is that it's like creating a child, but like it's like you really can just create a whole world in your head, you know what I'm saying? And then the next thing you know, millions of people are sharing in that same world, and hopefully it's impacting them in a positive manner, you know? And I think films are really powerful in the sense that they can really shift your entire perspective of life, you know? I remember, like, you know, it may be funny, and but Matrix to me shifted my whole perspective on a lot of things, that movie, you know? And the movies are really powerful. So I feel like that's an overarching goal too, is to be able to create a film that could shift the paradigm of people's thoughts so much into a way of just, like I said, peace and just us getting along and elevating humanity.
Yeah. And real quick, that guy that asked the question is Greg. Greg is one of those guys like E. Buckles, who was just like, man, let me just do whatever I can do for y'all. I'm gonna do y'all Instagrams, and he'll just come and be a PA or whatever we do. Now he's exec producing for us. Exec assistant for us, but he also is editing and doing things that's remarkable for us. It's like, you know, he's the next big filmmaker. Y'all look at him right there. That's G-Ball. We call him G-Ball. But that's it, man. Like that's you got to go for it. If you want something, go for it. Ask. You know, Wood Harris told me, he said, man, anybody you see from here out that you meet, ask for something. I'm like, yeah? He's like, just ask. You know, don't be the one that don't ask. And it's been working. You know, I think in the movie, Jay-Z told Kanye, you know, he's like, man, if you wouldn't have said nothing, you know, closed mouth don't get fed. You wouldn't have been on that record. So y'all got to know, you got to ask. So, G-Ball.
So, G-Bomb, you're going to be up here next year.
Come on, G-Ball, you get out of this seat.
There is something truly extraordinary about the power of asking. And a lot of filmmakers feel that that's a weakness, to ask for help or to ask for something that they need. but you guys have found a power in that, and that's
Recently,
fantastic.
not like forever.
Fair
like
enough.
that.
Yeah.
Recently, we found that, man, let's just ask. You know, that's how we got Genius done, because we
Definitely for money.
asked.
That was a hard. The advice is the easier one. You know, I remember one time, and you'd be surprised. I hit Mark Romanek. I was working MTV at the time, and I hit him. We were doing Through the Wire, and I needed some advice on him. And then you talking about this is like a guru of music videos. And I emailed him, shot in the dark, found his email online, and he hit me back in like the next day. And I was like, man, to see that was so amazing. I can't remember what I asked him, but I remember at the time it was major for that moment. But it also just taught me, like, that was a lesson for me that, you know, God willing, we have a guy as big as Mark Romanek to keep that humility, to be able to keep an open door for other people that might need advice, because I remember his advice definitely helped at that time. So
That's fantastic. And on that note, thank you both for
Thank you,
being
Jerry,
here.
for sure.
It's a real honor. Thank you all for being here. And have fun at the festival.
Thank you. Yo, my daughter in the building too, Ivy. She was in the movie, if y'all seen Genius. She was the little girl that was born, and her mom, Rachel, my girl, my queen. Gensler, help star Rockefeller, got to Billy Burke.
You packed the whole audience, man.
Right, thank y'all for coming, because these are friends that came. Y'all. Yes, sir. Thank you.
So tell me